Welcome back to iPunt Smart. We are racing from Turffontein inside track today. The track conditions is good to soft. No rain in the last 24 hours, but 32 millimeters in the last 7 days. And the wind is not too bad, 14 kilometers an hour today. In the first of the race runners, I think it's only Miss Venezuela and Eskimo Pie that's really got a chance here. And the only other threat is the first time of the bomb.com, because the others doesn't really look like they can compete much against those two. So I'm just going to quickly show you what I mean. If I look at this, a 1450, sorry for that, let me just switch this off. So if I look at the 1450 at Turffontein, then I've got a 3.01 improvement here on Miss Venezuela, and Peter and Kennedy went to Gravel yesterday and got 2 winners in second place. Now here we've got a tongue tie fitted, and Monkawa isn't bad. His stats looks pretty decent, 31% chance to win and a 37 additional to place for trainer Paul Peter. That is pretty good, and also a 100% record on the place side where he's placed the twice here. So all of that does look pretty decent for Mukawa. The fact that he got backed in from 22 into 6 on his previous attempt mean that they really expected the improvement. So of that, I think Miss Venezuela, that 1450 volt classic, was a 60.07 adjusted time, and Eskimo Pie, the 1400, was a 59.25. Now Miss Venezuela is 2 kilos lighter with Mukawa, and Eskimo Pie is a kilo up, so that's a 3 kilo swing on that run. So you should be able to make that up, and that you can see is justified on the bat, 3.01 versus 6.61. If I go further down, then Largo Bay, his best is a 12.77, only runner for Grand Maroon, and that was over the 1200. And when he goes up to the 1450, then he goes to a 39 and a 41 over the 1800. So it doesn't look like the 1400 is really going to suit him here. The same with Own Your Fate. The 1400 he went up to a 28 from a 16, so that's not going to help him either. So you can see why this 3.01 and 6.61 is really much better than the rest of the field. From the other raced runners, you get 50s here, so I can maybe just close Silver Sea until we actually see something from him, because he's like an 100 to 1 on the odds. He's never been supported or anything. I see Riot get support, but we'll need to improve quite a bit from the 21 and 21 here on the back figures, and from the 60 and the 60 on the adjusted time over the 1200. Just to show you what I mean is, if I go further up, Eskimo Pie has a 1200 carrying 59 or 58.2, and Largo Bay has a 59.09 carrying 57.5. So I don't really see Riot's 60.5 and 60.87 really doing much. This is in good. This was in soft, so that's decent in soft conditions, and so is Own Your Fate 61.8 in yielding conditions. But all that being considered, it does look like the two of the race runners, Miss Venezuela and Eskimo Pie, will run it out. And then the question mark is whether the bomb.com is any good. He does pick a decent Mabaya, but Mabaya has 100% place record at the track, but 11% wins is also not bad. But Nieuwenhuizen's only got a 4% win on the track, so I think Miss Venezuela and Eskimo Pie, with Miss Venezuela hopefully getting the upper hand with the tongue tie fitted. In the second race, there is no greenie anymore, because Space Race won yesterday and therefore got scratched. So I think there's a bit of value in Miss Flower Power at even money at top 4 position. And Golden Spoon and Gal Gadot also comes up in front of the odds on favourite Say When. Now, if I look at Say When, he's not bad, but he didn't do very well on his previous 1400 attempt over Turffontein. And Turffontein is a 9 meters uphill battle, and it's quite hard to get over there. I think Say Wen will probably make the 1400 at the Vol, but the 1400 at Turffontein is quite a tricky, rough little thing to get through, and he hasn't showed that he can based on that 1563 bat figure here. So if I'm looking elsewhere for something that could beat him, then the only 1400 range that I'm finding that's actually pretty decent is a 1400 vol here on Mrs. Flower Power, only runner for Diane Stenger and Randall Simons. Some support previously that drifted out, 59.77 for a 1400 was really decent, and a 463 on the bat figure is by far the best of the 1400 bat figures. Here you have a 1200 on Golden Spoon 3.45 and a 1000 on 2.09. So he went the wrong way when he went 200 up, but he might go further the wrong way when he's going to Turffontein uphill 1450. So Gal Gadot ran in the same race against Mrs. Flower Power, and Miss Gal Gadot did beat Flower Power. 60 kilos was worn by Gal Gadot, and he's still also doing 60 today. And Flower Power was 59 and goes up to 60. The reason why I prefer Flower Power over Gal Gadot is that he was actually in the market 3.75 to 6, where Gal Gadot was 7, drifted to 10. And the merit rating of 65 given by the handicap on Gal Gadot versus the 76 on Mrs. Flower Power suggests that Mrs. Flower Power has a brighter future if the handicapper has anything to go by as to be trusted. But all that being said, Gal Gadot is not far off on the bat, 4.6 versus 5.34, so very close between those two. And if Golden Spoon does the 1400 Turffontein inside, he's a runner as well, and then Say Wen on the 1400 turf, if Say Wen can actually run this kind of distance at Turffontein. So I have gone 10, 2, 10, 4, and 1, all 4 of them in the bipod. In the next race, it's quite a tricky little race, a progress play, but the reason why it's a tricky little race for me is if I'm looking at my calculations here, there's a 1282 on Shivers that then went bad, or not bad, but just not as good as the 12. And it's a Dorisham only runner for Chase Majan. So there's a bit of value there, given the bat curve is 3.38 better than Netta, and then quite a lot better than the next best that goes to a 10 on Sidoni and Hard Swing and Spice Market. So I ended up going with Shivers as a bit of value here to be contesting the finish. He's got some decent characteristics for a 4.65 in the market. The percentages aren't all that great, but is the best for Shivers, 33% on Bumroll 168. So 309 was one on Bumroll 168. And Dorisham and Chase Majan takes the ride yet again. Then Spice Market is very little, not far behind him. Hard Swings, 1488 is not far off. Netta, a 16 is not far off. Sidoni's got a question mark around the distance, but the bat figure 10.07 is not far off either. If you go up to the 1600, then it goes worse to a 22 and a 23. So it does look like the 1400 is better for Sidoni than the 1800 is. So to me, I think 1, 5, 3, and 6 is probably enough, but I've added the 4 as well. In the fourth race, I ended up going with Perfect Angel as my first choice in a Fillies and Mares 88, which is potentially one of the toughest races in this field here today. If I'm looking at the bat figures here, 8.05, 8.22, 9.15, 13.51, all of these are very close together. Perfect Angel does get the 1.5 kilo more on Jacobs, but he gets a 4 kilo on the Appiclaim. So that gives him only the 50 kilos to carry, and that is what helps him to have the best overall ranking. Bumroll 42, 84, 168, and the Bat 42 as well as the best exact course and distance by quite a bit, by 5 lengths better than the second best 13.51 on Sacred Lotus. So, a bit of a tricky affair for me here. I've gone with Perfect Angel, my first choice. Sparkling Water probably will do some more improvement, only running his third race, so he could definitely improve. I do like the fact that Perfect Angel's last run was pretty decent on the 1500 Turffontein Insight, the exact course and distance. Then Me Time has improved. Corner Space runners, they are normally decent and fit. And on the 26th, the 8.22 was much better again after the 14 and 14s. So he could be liking the extra uh, bit because he has definitely improved over the 1450. So Me Time, one to consider at 12 to 1. Bella Rosa, have my best bet on the card, or potentially best bet on the card, Boswicki. That's also a greenie later. And Pettigrew is the only other one is Bellarosa. Now, Bellarosa's got a really decent 52 kilos only to worry about and has been third previous time with Macaulay on board. Does have a little bit of a draw to overcome in eighth draw and is not bad on the yielding condition. He's been fourth and he's been third. So does have a few things for him. If he can overcome the draw, he'll probably be able to be competitive if he can get around that draw. But it's a tough open race. Fireflower is not far out of it on these kind of figures over the 2000 hour. He's not as good over the 1500 if I'm taking this one 1500 on the 32 back figure. But he has been improving. Pascal Samore, Chris Jonker and Dixon, they've been improving rapidly, 45 into a 19 in 2 runs, so could be improving a bit more at a ridiculous 30 to 1 price. So it's a very tough one. Keep Smiling is 12 to 1 for a Terry and Hewitson combination. That's you'll always get good value on a Terry Hewitson at 12 to 1. So he's not going to be entering it if he doesn't think he's got some sort of a chance. And then we've got Peter and Kennedy on a 9 to 1 solution here for Sacred Lotus. So all in all, a very tricky, trappy little affair. Perfect Angel did beat Sacred Lotus on the 23rd of January. And Perfect Angel does carry 8 less today, where Sacred Lotus only carrying 4.5 less, so he does hold Sacred Lotus on that 4.5 kilos and that extra 1.3 lengths based on the run there. So the bat figure of 8.0 versus 13.5 suggests that Perfect Angel should be ahead of Sacred Lotus. And yeah, my best value I can find is Perfect Angel here, with then Sparkling Water and Me Time, my second, third best, Bella Rosa fourth, Fireflower sixth, Keep Smiling and Sacred Lotus seventh and eighth. But it's a tough little race. It's not the kind of race that I really like. Fillies and Mares. Next one, Merit Rated 76 event. And here, the back figures of the first two, El Romiachi, Kumalo and Gray, 86.91, followed by 769 on Banna Bridge, Dawson and Zaki. Those two is pretty decent. And then there's a 4-length gap to Illuminate, Brett Weber and Callan Murray. So that has some potential. And then Shadow Creek is my first choice. Overall ranking, the best. Greeny points, the best. Statistical form, the best. Subaru, total, Bomrel 42, and pretty okay on the bat 42 figures. So maybe a top 4 for Shadow Creek is not a bad little proposition at even money. That's my first choice. Then the two Dawson runners, Storm Commander and Banner Bridge, as well as El Romiachi is my next best in here. If I look at them individually, El Romiachi did finish just behind Banner Bridge on the previous occasion, but now only 1.5 kilos worse off, where Banner Bridge is 4 kilos worse off. So that's 2.5 kilo swing for a 2.9 length. So they should definitely be finishing much closer to one another today. And Kamalo takes the right again. Kamalo's got a third as well as a first on him, so I'll definitely give El Romiachi a chance to be closer today. And then we also have Storm Commander, LJ Ferraris, does have an improvement from a 20 to a 16 to a 13. So he's getting closer and closer and closer. But Banner Bridge is definitely the better one of the two as far as the BAT 769 is concerned. But Storm Commander does have some sort of a chance. He's also getting an improved rider in the form of LJ Ferraris today and not Mr. Solomons. And then Wakar's only runner for Fabian Habib, Gavin Larina takes the ride, which is interesting because he's been improving a lot, 44, 12, 15, 12. He's 3 runs back from the rest, those 3 green ones, has all been pretty decent and not far off the rest of the batch. So, given on that, he's run behind Banner Bridge on the 26th of January, and he's got 2.5 kilos more to worry about. Candace has got 4 kilos more to worry about, so 1.5 kilos swing for a 5.5 lengths beating. And he is improving from 15 to 12, so he's also one that could upset the apple cart in this race. You'll see his merit rating hasn't dropped yet, but Banner Bridge has dropped from 85 all the way down to a 68 and has now won. Went up to a 72, but clearly since it's won 2 in a row and it's only at a 72 now, wouldn't be surprised if it keeps winning back to the 85 because that's how they play with them. So Banner Bridge has definitely got its credentials. I think the top 4 is not much between those top 4 in the 5th race. So 5827 is my first 4, and then the next best is 7 and 10. Grazing in the grass, as you can see, a 16 to 1 shot. Mike the Cock is in very decent form. Calvin Habib's only got 3, and yet it flashes on the bomb rolls, so not too far off to actually be a bit of a improving sort. So I do think that Grazing in the Grass also has his credentials. So 5, 8, 2, 7, 6, and 10 is all in there for me. And then even the 11 and the 9 has some chances as well. Sanjay and the Cock and Matsunyani, they're not far off here. All these figures are very close together. And the 9 is League of Her Own, 16 to 1. Also not a bad bat figure, considering he's also been improving here. So another tough race to overcome. I think that we're going to have a bomb somewhere today. So structure is going to be very important if you want to catch the pick 6. I do think the pick 6 is going to pay quite a bit today. In the 6th, I ended up going with Against the Grain, Sean Tarry and Ryan Munger. Munger did get the ride the previous time and did pretty well, running 4th with that 3.05 bat, the best in the field. He also has a backup in Lyle Hewittson's ride as a 3.89 and another one in a 3.81. So all of that considered, he has the 1st, the 2nd and the 3rd best bat figures in this field, but very, very little from him to crank it up. Janse van Vuren has a 4.27 as well. So Against the Grain and Crank It Up ran against one another on the 23rd of Jan. They were 5th Crank It Up, and Against the Grain was 4th. Against the Grain is now 1 kilo less, and so is Crank It Up. So yeah, 0.2 lengths different, separating them the previous time, and therefore they should be close together. So not much separating those two for me. I've gone with Against the Grain since he's got 3 of those bat figures. And then the 3rd choice, Ivalo's Prince. He's got the 7s in here and the best median speed, the best greenie points, and the 2.5 kilo Epiclam only gives him 50 kilos today. And then Call Me Master is blinkers fitted LJ Ferraris that was on top of him the last time and came and won on him. He's now been booked for his services again, which suggests that they are coming to strike again at 9 to 1. Call Me Master is definitely a runner therefore. And then there's an interesting runner in Talon, the Cock and Simons. The previous attempt he had over the 1600, he had a 22 bat figure. It does look like he's better over the shorter distance, because he dropped to a 10 bat figure over the 1160. and that was within 2 months. So it does suggest that he's better over the shorter. Um, and he did do the 4 and the 7s here at the 11 and 12. So going up to the 16 again, I haven't seen anything where he's pretty good on the 16. But at 22 to 1, if he can repeat those 4.21, he's right in there with against the grain and crank it up. So he's a bit of a roughie at that kind of price. And I went with Elusive Force as my next best. He does have 3 wins in a row here with Ferraris and Kennedy. And that's normally a good sign for a horse that's really improving quite fast because he's staying ahead of the handicapper. He did go up in handicap quickly, 79, 87, 93. So it's a bit tough to keep on doing that. But in saying that, it is a Paul Peter, and they have realized it, so have given him a 4 kilo or 8 merit rating points drop. So that does mean he's got a chance to say in this race for me as well. August Rain, Alec Laird and Kumalo, he's the favourite. He only pops in as my 7th choice. So you can see it's a tricky affair to say the least in this race. One of the difficult races on the card. And then Trent Master is a runner still for me because Lucky's only got 3 and one of them is my top rated Capitiana. So that does mean that Trent Master could be showing more than what he has been showing. In the 7th, Capitiana is my top rated. He's only carrying 49 kilos. His best overall ranking, greeny points, exotic ranking, median speed, form, stat form, intent, total. And I think 2 rand or even money on the place is pretty generous for Capitiana, considering he has got the consistency as well. He's 16 lengths better than the second best of the runners on consistency, 0 to 16.6. That in itself says quite a bit. So I make him my best value for today. And then Dubawi Princess is the favorite. He's my second choice. And you can see on the 42-day bat figures 1.4, 2.1, and then up to 14 for Great Diva. So 6 and 12, definitely you've got my 2 first choices. Maybe get away with 6 and 12 only in the PA. I've added one more, Persica, with Gray and Kumalo, because there's a question mark here for the improvement from 8.9 to wherever. And he does have exact distance, median speed, and speed rating, and adjusted time. So that to me does mean a lot. And then fourth choice Rises 1, Janse van Vieren, that does have some decent runners for today. Also has some flashing 8.9 on the back here, and then nothing. So we'll come back better for today. And then my next big Clock Stopper, 30 to 1, Macaulay and Mowing. And I'd be surprised if he wins, so maybe the top 4 is enough for your pick 6 figures, but that's my 4th choice with Elzara, my 5th choice as the best bat CD, and Warren Kennedy taking the ride for Nieuwenhuizen. I have just made a note to just check what Nieuwenhuizen does on his other runner. Hot Gossip, my next best, and Great Diva, my 8th choice. In the 8th race, the best I think on the card is Vorsvicki. If he fluffs his lines, then I do have some respect for Down to Zero. 12 to 1, blinkers are fitted. Best stat form, 25% chance to win. Best bomb roll curve, 17% chance, and some hidden 4.06 here. If I take the 84, you'll see he pops into second if I sort it by bat 84 on that 10th of January run. So Varsvicki Down to Zero, then Battle of Travalga, which is not far behind, only 0.6 lengths behind, and a nice 70% super rule percentage, as well as Alamice front and back now, and Callan Murray and Mike de Kock is in really good form. So that's my 3rd choice. Spring Break is my 4th choice, Terry Newitson, and then Captain Hindsight, only runner Ashley Fortune and Hubbub. Just the time is the best, median speed is the best. So those two together suggest that the top 5 doesn't have that much difference between them. You see here 2, 4, 4, 5, and then the drops quite a bit. I'm glad Benji got scratched because you wouldn't know what's happening in that question mark 84 days. So I have gone with 6, 1 and 5 in my PA, and I've added the 7 and the 4, Spring Break and Captain Hindsight in my pick 6. moving to the very last of the day. Um, I ended up with going Romeo's Magic as my top rated, with Lyle Hewitson taking the ride, and funny enough that it's not Kumalo, because Kumalo's riding for Grey elsewhere. So then I looked at what is Kumalo riding, and that's Chris Jonker with Oyster King. So that does mean that there's some improvement expected there for Chris Jonker and Kumalo as well. He's only my seventh choice. Rabia the Rebel, well, all the Brett Weber runners here gets a shout for me. Callan Murray is on Rabia Rebel on Brett Weber's other horse for today, but here Callan Murray is on Governor's Glory, which is the favourite. So that suggests that Governor Glory does have a say in this race, or it suggests that Callan Murray will get the win for Brett Weber earlier, so that he can pull Governor's Glory, so that Brett Weber can also get the double in the ninth race. Interesting theory, but it's not the first time that these kind of things happen in South African racing. So let's have a quick look just on that theory again, where Brett Weber is entered with Callan Murray. Illuminate. Now, if you look at 11.1, he's actually not that far off the rest of the field, less than 5 lengths. And given that Callan Murray now takes the ride instead of Swartz and Yeni, he does have an interesting case. Together with that, Mike de Kock, he's got Shadow Creek in here, but funny enough, Callan Murray doesn't ride Shadow Creek. So Callan Murray has ridden Shadow Creek for a second and for a fourth, and another fourth and a fifth. So yeah, but now Randall Simons is on Shadow Creek, so Simons has to well, prove himself for that, because his one run has a winner. So that does suggest that Munger would also want to prove himself, that he's a better rider than Simons. Munger, Murray. And that suggests that Illuminate must be included in this race as well. Being proved 28, 16, 11. So that does suggest that he could also come and pop in. So yeah, it's actually a tough little race, and a tough day to decipher today, because there's a lot of theory of what can and can't happen, and I do know that this is South African racing; anything can really happen. So yeah, I'll have all these question marks. Callan Murray, why is he on Brett Weber's Illuminate when Mike de Kock has a better chance on Shadow Creek? The answer is probably because Randall Simons was winning on Shadow Creek previously, so that means Randall Simons should be trying again. And then you've got Dawson's two runners here with Breach and Commander, and you've got de Kock and Hubbard here on this one. So why didn't Murray then jump on Grazing in the Grass? Well, because Hubbard has been on here, Murray hasn't been on here before, and Grazing in the Grass is not that far off, but 13 versus the 11 on Illuminate as the best is not much between these two. So yeah, there's a lot of question marks today of how all of this will pan out. So bottom line is, I think, yeah, Brett Weber, Illuminate must be respected, and Brett Weber, Rabia the Rebel, and In the Game and Piccadilly Square must be respected, because he had two others that was both scratched as well, so he really wanted this race. Mallorca's only ride for the day in Rabia the Rebel. Wouldn't be surprised if that's a really good ride. The red bats of 10th lengths better than the rest of the field on Romeo's Magic suggest that Romeo's Magic, if he can do the distance, is pretty decent. But then why is Kumalo not riding for St. John Gray here? He was on him last time, and that didn't work out. So now Hewitson is trying this time. He does have 16% wins and 31% places. So I am definitely also respecting Romeo's Magic to improve to be better than what Kumalo was on him previously, because Kumalo got the ban from riding him again. So, considering all of that, I ended up with Romeo's Magic in first, Rabia the Rebel in second, Twice the Act in third, as I know Lucky Woodalakis has also got my Capitiana earlier, and there's an improvement expected, ninth run only, best stat form, best bomb roll 84-168, and best bat curve. And then the other Brett Weber in the game here, Piccadilly Square, sixth choice. Fifth choice, Governor's Glory, the actual favorite, because there's too many question marks to know what's actually really going to happen here. So I just ended up with 1, 6, 13, 7, 2, and 15, all in my PA, and the same in my pick 6. I even got 5, 8, and 3 as backup in my pick 6. Oyster King, Brassway, and in for a penny. If the favourite does win, then maybe I can suggest just add one of the scratchings if you then double up on the pick 6. But the way I'm seeing it, I'd be surprised if a favourite actually does win this race. I'm not saying he can't win this race because he's second on the bat 42. And the 2000 meters, he's trying for the first time. He made huge improvement from a 1600, 1400 to 19 into 6. So definitely can. So yeah, maybe your best option then would be to also just add one of the scratchings so you can double up on the pick 6 if the favourite does win. But there's a lot of question marks today, guys. So yeah, caution out there. What do I like today? Yeah, Miss Venezuela or Eskimo Pie here. And if there's any money for the bomb.com, I'd be interested. Yeah, I think Miss Flower Power, even money for a top 4 is pretty decent. Mike the Cox got Golden Spoon. Gal Gadot and Naidu is not far off Flower Power here. Say When, there's no value for it, but can win. And if Janssen van Vuren does win with Say When, then there's a couple of others for him for the day. In here, Shivers, Spice Market, Hard Swing, all of them has chances. That whole field has really got chances. Yeah, Perfect Angel is not bad on that 9 to 1 price. Me Time's not bad on a 12 to 1 price. The favourites in between on Sparkling Water. Bellarosa, if it can come past it, overcome the draw. He's in there. Fireflower could get closer as well. The fifth race, Shadow Creek, the two Dawsons, Banner Bridge and Storm Commander, El Romeachi with Gray and Kumalo. They all got chances here, but Illuminate's got question marks. League of Our Own, Sun Giant, Wakas, Grazing in the Grass, they all got question marks here. Maybe the best here is Shadow Creek at top 4 because Simons would want to prove that he wasn't a fluke when he won on him last time at 9 to 1. In the 6th, I think against the Grain Crank It Up is maybe enough for the PA, just those two. Ivalo's Prince has got the best bat curve, so maybe those 3 is enough. For me, Master, my 4th choice. So it's a tricky little race. My best value for the day, Capitiana, I guess. He does need to get a little bit better to Dubawi Princess, but between the two of them, there's quite a gap to the 3rd place. So I do think that each way on Capitiana is not a bad little idea. Varsviki should win. If Varsviki doesn't win, then it gets interesting down to 0. He's got all the credentials to upset because he's getting closer, showing the intentions. Got the 2 runners, got the Munger with the Flames, and got the Blinkers fitted 12 to 1, a nice price, 25 to 1, or 25% statistical form, nice flashing 4.06 bat figures. So all of that makes a little bit of a sense. Battle of Trafalgar makes a bit of a sense as well because he's now got Alamites front and back for Mike the Cock. And then in the very last, yeah, Romeo's Magic could be Battle of Trafalgar because the Cock wants to do the double with Governor's Glory as well. But Romeo's Magic, Rabia the Rebel, all the Weber runners here has got some chances. So yeah, interesting day's racing. I'd definitely be watching most of it. But yeah, I would imagine that caution would be advised today. Okay guys, that's it. Have a great day.